The ultimate guide for managing tradespeople. Now, if you're in the industry, you will know that it can be incredibly difficult to get the best out of labour on site. It can be incredibly challenging and stressful managing these people. But what I've found is a lot of it can be solved very easily with the 5 things I'm going to go through with you today on this video. So, if you don't know me, my name's Dean Barton. I've been in the industry for nearly 20 years. I've built, scaled companies. I'm buying companies today and growing them out. And this is stuff that I've just learned by doing it. So it's not theory, it's stuff that I've actually done in practice. So let's jump into the video. Number 1, when it comes to managing trades or any people, whether it's people in the office as well, depending what size your business is, you can never ever have a dump and run mentality. And this is actually the root cause of a lot of the issues on site. It's just people dump and running, you running the company, of basically not preparing a job, not being, well thought out in advance and basically just prepared to actually do a good job and actually thought the job through. You're just dumping guys on site and going, well, get on with it. And then there's been no organisation of materials, there's been no organisation of other trades. Dump and run mentality is the worst thing in the world. And you cannot expect your guys just to get on with it. You cannot just go, right, there you go, there's a job, get on with it. You've got to say to the guys, right, I've done this, I've done that, this is what we're doing, this is the plan. You've got to be on it. You've got to be the manager. You've got to be the leader. Comes with the responsibility of owning a business. But if you solve that problem there, that will solve a lot of your problems of actually just managing good trades, because good people will get on with it if you've done your bit. You haven't just dumped them in the shit and just left them to get on with the job. You've proactively spoke to the client. You've proactively planned the job. You've thought about it. You've prepared. You've organised. If you're not a dump and runner, you're going to save yourself a lot of the problems. But number 2, delegation is the key. Like, the art of delegation is everything in a business. Like, you have to really be good at delegating. What does that really mean? Because it's all well and good just saying to guys, right, be there on Tuesday, be there on Thursday, get on with it. Yeah, it doesn't really work. Like, it doesn't help everyone. And the key of good delegation is, number 1, good communication. Going, okay, this is the job. This is how I want things done. This is going to happen. So and so is going to be here Tuesday. Then this will happen. Then this will happen. The client will pop in at 11. Really just good, clear communication from you as the owner and the leader of the company. If you give that good, clear communication, what you need to do is plant the expectation. Like, what are you expecting from that trade of that person? Whether it's a plasterer, whether it's a sparky, a tiler, I need you to be finished on this date. I want things to be done this way. I want you to run the cable that way. I want you to put the pipe this way. What do you think? And you're talking through the job. It's that whole communication and expectation. You have to do that and set the standard, because you might just, if you fall victim to the dump and run, let someone go on site and they fit something completely opposite to how you wanted to do it, because you didn't communicate that. You didn't go through it on site. And what I've found is that if you spend some more time at the front end of a job, going through everything maybe 2 or 3 times, double checking, really making it clear what your expectation is and how you want things done, and when a delivery turns up, I want it to go there because of this, because of that. If you're just very good and open at communicating and giving the expectations, do all that at the front end, and a lot of the job will run a lot smoother throughout the whole duration of whatever the job it is you're doing. And then once you've done that, and you say, right, this is how I want things done. So this is the job. You're communicating the job. This is how I want it done. You're given the expectations. You then have to give a time, and most importantly, a deadline. I now give a deadline to absolutely everything, no matter who I'm speaking to. Whether I'm speaking to a supplier to me, or a subcontractor, or a business partner, there's always a deadline and a time attached to what it is you want doing. Because that is what good delegation is. There is a time to this, because otherwise, you might have 3 days for someone to do a job, and in their mind they're going, well, to do it this way, it's going to take 5 days. And it doesn't work, because you haven't costed the job in that way. You haven't got enough time to do it that way. And it's going to cause loads of more problems further down on the job. So you've got to express a deadline for everyone. Everyone needs a deadline to work to. It's no different to like catching a flight. There is a set time, that flight is leaving, whether you're on it or not. That plane is leaving. And business is exactly the same. You have to run the jobs like this. This task, this job, this part of the job has got to be done by this time. And you're communicating that, because if it's not, we're then behind budget. We're going to create problems down the line. The program's going to slip. You're involving all your guys in this. You're telling them why as well. You're not just saying, I want it done by this for no reason. You're saying because the plasterers are in next week, the sparky's in next week, the chippy's in next week, whatever it is for the job it is you're doing. You always have to give a deadline, and that's probably where most people go wrong. Then once you've done that, you then need to do the last bit, which no one really does this, is check and clarify with the person. So if you've just gone through a job with a chippy, let's say, carpenter, you've communicated what the job is, you said what the expectations are, how you want the job to be done, you said it needs to be done by Friday, you have then got to check and clarify with that person and go, does that all make sense? And check with them and say, is there anything I've said that you're not sure about, or is there a problem that you see in the way of us achieving this by this deadline? And having that conversation, it goes back to communication. It's a bit of a loop. You need to go through all these 4 things and then go back and go, does that make sense? Are you okay with that? Can you do that? Are there any problems you're going to see? Because they're going to list out, and you need, some people won't want to tell you the problems. They're going to go, fucking hell, I don't think we can do this. But you need to read the body language and go, are you cool with that? Can you make that happen? And if there's any inkling you're thinking that they're not going to do it, you've got to say to them, look, now is your opportunity to tell me while we're here, while we're forming a plan, because maybe you have got it wrong. Maybe you're asking them to do something that is just not possible. Because we've all done that. We've all estimated a job, thought, yeah, they'll do that in 3 days. And actually, in reality, it's not possible. So if you check and you have that conversation right here, which again links back to communication, you're going to weed out a lot of problems, because you might need to go back to the client. You might need to change other things that you had in mind and replan the job, because you're checking in with that person. Like, is it feasible? Is it possible? Why not? Now, we all know some tradesmen go, oh, you can't do that. And they're just saying that because you can't. That's a different conversation. They're going, look, there's no reason why you can't do that. But you need to bring people on board, because that's what good delegation is. You can't have good delegation unless this person, this tradesperson, whoever it is, has gone, yep, I know exactly what we're doing. I know exactly how you want to do it. I know it's got to be done by Friday. I'm totally cool with them. I'll speak to you on Friday. Unless that's happened, delegation has not occurred. If you walk away going, well, yeah, he should be all right. He should do that. Or, yeah, I think he knows what he's doing. That person doesn't know what they're doing. You haven't delegated properly. And unless you delegate properly, you will not manage tradespeople properly. You have to delegate properly. So get that step correct. Then once you have done that, you've got to remember that you're a leader. When you own the company, or maybe you're watching this, you're a project manager, leadership is a responsibility. It's not a crown to wear. It's not a perch to sit on that, well, you're the boss, you get on with it, you make it work. Leadership, being the person in charge of the job, is a responsibility. And what does that responsibility come with? It comes with you having to train people to how you want things done. It comes back to that expectation and standards of work and quality on site. Like, this is how I want things done. You've got to train people. Even if tradesmen have been doing a trade for 10 years and they're new to you in the company, you've got to train them how you want things done, because otherwise that's going to cause problems. You've also got to, as a leader, support your people and say to them, look, this is great, this is great, this is great, but this is not so good. You've got to have that communication again, the art, communication, it's all the same stuff, it's all linked, because it's all real. This is what it is. This is the responsibility of being a boss, being a leader. You've got to support people. You've also got to watch out for people when they're not quite on the ball. Maybe they're normally quite good, but something they've slipped, or the quality of work slipped. You've got to be the leader that goes, maybe there's something wrong with John or Dave or Tony or whatever. I need to go and speak to them personally and check in they're okay, because they might be having an issue at home. It all happens. You know, we're all humans at the end of the day. Every single person's got a life at home with a wife, kids, bills to pay, problems to solve. You know, support people. You've got to support your people. And lastly, the key thing of leadership is accountability. You've got to keep people accountable to this. So if you have set someone, right, you spoke to them on a job, you said, right, you've got to finish it Friday, you might need to check on them every day. Depending on what the job is, it might be every week. There needs to be a certain level of accountability. Are you on track? Is everything okay? Have you got everything in order? You can't just leave, which sort of links back to that dump and run. If you've done all this bit, you need to now follow through and keep on top of that with accountability. Accountability is the key. If every tradesman knows that you're going to phone them, or you're going to check back in on site, whatever's suitable for whatever the job it is that you're doing, if they know you're coming and you don't tolerate shit, they're going to be held accountable to, like, we better stay tonight and get this finished, because he's going to go mad, or he's going to turn up and, you know, we said we're going to do this. That's the key thing. That's why you needed to get them to say that they agree to the terms that they can do it, because they're going to feel like they're not going to let you down, and you've got to hold them accountable. Accountability is everything. Every single person in the business needs some level of accountability. that you're doing what you said you were going to do and things are being fulfilled. It's just checking in on people. That's all it is. Accountability is so important. Number 4, good leadership is going to link into your habits, and bad habits that you see on site are going to stem from you at the top. And again, this is the responsibility of a leadership, is that the bad habits, if you're seeing bad habits in staff, it's because they're getting it from you and they're learning that that's acceptable from you as the leader and the owner. And this is the things you need to solve, because the bad habits are procrastination, overthinking things, delaying things, putting things off. I will look at that tomorrow. If you're doing that as a leader, that is going to filter down into your staff, which is problems. That's going to only cause delays, costs, issues on site, because no one's stepping up to the plate. So you've got to be the person that does make decisions, and you don't procrastinate. You get information and you pull the trigger. Equally, the flip side of that is impulsive behaviour. This is very common as entrepreneurs, as leaders of business. We can be quite impulsive because we're just wired a bit differently. We can be impulsive and go, well, that looks nice, I want to do it this way. No, actually, I want to do it that way. No, I want to do it this way. I want to do this, I want to do that. And then you take your eye off all of the ball on this stuff. If your behaviour is shown like that in a workplace, that's going to filter through down to your staff as well, because we've probably all experienced this, where people start doing one job on site and then they leave that and they start doing another job on site because they're impulsive. They're not structured onto the plan and being accountable to know, do this first, then do that, then do this. You've got to lead like that. So if you've got impulsive behaviour, you need to learn a way that you're impulsive outside of work, but inside of work you're incredibly stable and structured and methodical, because that's going to fuck you up on site. Perfectionism is the next one. If you've got the habit of looking for perfectionists all the time, you're going to be set up for failure, because you're never going to manage trades, especially as you grow a company. You're never going to get trades that do things exactly how you want them done all the time perfectly. But what you're looking for, 75 to 80% of good enough. Like, they might do things slightly different to you. They might have done things in a slightly different order to you, but the end result is perfect and it's good, then it works. If you're trying to critique people, but the overall result is good, you're wasting your time, because you're just setting yourself up for failure of just having the standard of perfect all the time. But in reality, that's just not going to happen. As long as that person's done the job and it's correct, it's to the standard, and it looks good and it's right and it's structurally sound, or whatever it is for the job that you're doing, then let go of perfectionism, because that's a trap. You can't live by that, because you're always going to live in chaos, because no one or anyone is going to do things exactly how you do it, exactly how you want to. It's the result that matters. That's what you've got to be focused on. So if someone does 75% to 80% of how you'd like it to be done, then that will be good enough in what we're talking. As long as the job's done correctly, it looks good and it's right. And then lastly, it's decisions. If you're not a quick decision maker, that's going to filter down to you on your staff as well, because you ultimately need tradesmen to make decisions and go, well, I know what we've got to do. It's this job, this is the expectation, I've got to do it in this time. If a problem arises, you want people that are going to make decisions and go, well, we'll get around it by doing this way, and not really involving you, because they know they can still hit the deadline. It's not going to cost any more money, and they're just going to get on with it. So you as a leader have got to be very good at making decisions for people, and you want to filter that down into your staff, that you can make the decisions. Like, as long as you do this, this, and this, I don't really mind how you do it, as long as it's done correctly. And that's the leadership style that you want. And not making decisions is the biggest cost in a business. It's sitting on stuff. It's not good whatsoever. And then lastly, number 5, be a coach, not a boss. And I say that as someone of doing these videos, like, people look at me and think I'm a coach. I'm not a coach, I'm just a person that's figured stuff out. I'm a leader, I'm a boss at heart. But I've learned that being a good boss and being a good leader is having a coaching mentality and actually helping people to get the best out of them. If you think any sports team, they've got coaches. They've got people that lay out the plan and lay out clear expectations and clear processes and doing the reps of, like, we need to do it this way because of this, this and this, and coaching people and helping people understand why you want things done in a certain way. And that links into the rules of your business, the rules of how you do things on site, the rules from a health and safety point of view, the rules for quality point of view, and like actually saying, right, this is how we do things here, and you're coaching people. You're not being a boss, you're not just pointing at people and picking holes in them, you're coaching them to help them and go, I understand why you did it this way, but I would prefer it and I want you to do it this way. And here's why: because of this, and this, and ultimately it's quicker and it helps other people down the line. Because what I found with trades is they only really think about themselves a lot of the time. The good ones don't. They're looking ahead. They're thinking, well, I'm not going to lay it this way. I'm not going to put a pipe in this place because it's going to create a problem for the chippy after me or whatever. Good trades will do that, but a lot of trades won't. They don't have that mentality, so you've got to do it for them and coach them into thinking like that. And I'll be honest, it is hard. Sometimes you feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall. You're saying things over and over again, but that's part of the accountability of it's the reps. You've got to do it over and over again. You've got to keep doing it. And you've got to show people what success looks like. You've got to train your people, coach them, and go, well, if you do this, this, and this, you have done a successful job. You've got to treat people at any level in any business, but especially with tradespeople, go, if you do this and this, I'm happy, that's good. And they know where they stand. Whereas if you don't have clearly defined like success of like this is what a good job looks like, and this is how I want things done, if they don't know that, how are they going to know if they're doing a good enough job or not? And that's what you've got to treat it as, being a coach and not a boss. Think with that mindset all the time, and that will lead you in a much better place for managing trades. And that's my guide, that's my quick guide. I hope that's helped. If you want more help for anything to do with this business, anything to do with this industry, I've got loads of other videos on the channel, but I've also got a podcast in a link below this video. You can listen to it on the go, full of practical, helpful stuff to help you grow the business, make more money, build a better team, all of this type of stuff. Check it out. See you in the next one. Bosh.